I've always been the kind of person who thrives on hard work. From my teenage years, I was hustling, taking odd jobs, dreaming big, and pushing myself to build something meaningful. In college, I threw myself into entrepreneurship, launching 3 businesses that crashed and burned before I even graduated. Each failure stung, but I learned from them, tweaking my approach and refusing to give up. Then, in my senior year, everything clicked. A mix of persistence, fortunate timing, and landing 2 major clients turned my latest venture into a roaring success. I wasn't rolling in wealth yet, but I was doing far better than most people my age, and it felt like the start of something big. About a year after college, I met Lisa. She was still a student then, coasting through her final semesters with no clear direction. I'd nudge her sometimes, suggesting she think about a career or maybe start a small business of her own. Something to give her purpose. But she'd just shrug it off, saying she'd figure out after graduation, maybe get a job somewhere. Truthfully, she didn't seem all that eager to do even that. I didn't push too hard. I figured she'd find her way eventually. Looking back, I can see I overlooked some red flags. Lisa loved the finer things: designer clothes, fancy dinners, exotic trips. She'd grown up with next to nothing, so I chalked it up to her wanting to experience what she'd missed out on. It didn't bother me much. I liked seeing her light up when I surprised her with a gift, and by then, I had the means to indulge her. She was outgoing, the life of any room she walked into, always craving excitement and company. I'm not exactly a hermit myself. I enjoy a good night out, but I'm just as happy staying in, catching up on work, or unwinding with a movie. Our differences didn't spark many arguments, though. We found a rhythm that worked. One night a week, we go out together, dancing, drinks, whatever she was in the mood for. 2 other nights, we keep it low-key with a nice dinner at home and a film. The rest of the time, we did our own thing. I'd usually tinker with business ideas or binge a show, while Lisa would head out with her friends. She called them her girls' nights, and for years, I never thought twice about it. Her friends seemed solid. Most of them married, level-headed, not the wild type. They'd swing by to pick her up sometimes, and she'd always come home when she said she would. Maybe a little tipsy, but never a mess. I trusted her completely. That trust started crumbling one random evening when I was glancing over my credit card statement. A charge caught my eye. Some men's jewelry store I'd never heard of, let alone visited. My stomach dropped. Had someone stolen my card? I dug deeper, pulling up past statements, and that's when the puzzle pieces started falling into place. There were restaurant bills from places we'd never been to together. Some dated-on nights I knew I'd been home alone. Then I saw motel charges, 2 separate nights, each a single stay. My mind raced. I still had my card. It couldn't have been stolen. That's when it hit me. Lisa was an authorized user on my account. She had access to the same card. At first, I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe there was a simple explanation. I told myself I'd wait until she got home and ask her calmly. But as I kept scrolling through the statements, the truth became impossible to ignore. The charges painted a vivid picture. Dinners, gifts, motel rooms, all happened behind my back for weeks, maybe months. It wasn't just spending, it was betrayal. When she walked through the door that night, I watched her closely, searching for any hint of guilt. Nothing. She chattered on about her night with her friends, same as always, while those transactions burned in my brain. I kept my cool, nodding along, but inside, I was unraveling. After she showered and went to bed, I seized my chance. I'm not the type to invade someone's privacy, or at least, I wasn't. But that night, I didn't hesitate. Her phone was easy to unlock. She'd use the same passcode forever. I scrolled through her messages, half hoping I'd find nothing and could laugh off my paranoia. No such luck. There was a conversation with a guy named Dylan. They'd been talking for months, meeting up regularly. The text confirmed everything: dates, shopping trips, and at least 2 nights together that lined up perfectly with those motel charges. She bought him watches, shoes, even AirPods, all with my money, my hard-earned money, funneled into her affair. The sting of her cheating was bad enough, but realizing she'd turned me into a walking ATM for this guy That cut deeper than I can describe. Then another suspicion crept in. Her friends, those girls' nights, I'd never questioned, had to be part of the cover-up. I found her group chat and skimmed through it. Sure enough, she'd orchestrated, so they'd pick her up, play along for my benefit. Then she'd peel off to meet Dylan. The planning was meticulous, deliberate. This wasn't a drunken slip-up. It was a calculated double life. Her only mistake was getting sloppy with the card, probably assuming I'd never noticed the details. Before I logged off, I forwarded the chats to myself. I'd heard too many stories of messy breakups where proof made all the difference. I wasn't taking any chances. Sleep was out of the question that night. I stayed up, replaying everything. Every gift I'd given her, every late night I'd spent working to build our life, every time she'd smiled at me while hiding this. By morning, I was a wreck, sprawled on the couch when she came downstairs. She asked why I hadn't slept in our bed. I didn't answer. Instead, I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Tell me about Dylan." She blinked, feigning confusion, but I wasn't buying it. I laid it out, hundreds of dollars a month, all on him, all on my dime. She froze, then launched into apologies, claiming it wasn't what it looked like. She said she'd met him online, felt sorry for him because he was struggling. I asked how sleeping with him fixed that. Her face went white. She stammered out some nonsense about being depressed, needing comfort. When I pressed her on why she didn't come to me, her husband, she flipped the script, yelling that I'd driven her to it, that my success made her feel small, that I'd neglected her dreams. It was laughable, almost. Lisa didn't care about dreams or careers. She barely tolerated her dead-end job, because I'd insisted she contribute something. And my success? She'd never minded it when it funded her lifestyle. I told her I was leaving, just to clear my head, and that's when she panicked. The tears came hard, a flood of pleas for forgiveness. For a split second, I felt sorry for her, until I remembered the receipts, the messages, the lies. That pity evaporated fast. I grabbed my keys and walked out. The days that followed were icy. I moved to the guest room, barely speaking to her. I knew divorce was inevitable, but I couldn't bring myself to act yet. Part of me clung to a foolish hope that we could salvage something. She kept trying, cooking meals I wouldn't eat, hovering around me, begging for a second chance. I ignored it all. Then she switched tactics, claiming she'd change, that she'd be the wife I deserved. It was too late for that. When she tried guilting me, saying she'd have nothing without me, I lost it. I reminded her she'd had everything with me, and she'd spent it on some loser who didn't care about her. She called me cruel and sobbed, but I was done playing nice. That's when I decided to stop waiting. Coexisting with her was torture, and I was tired of being the bigger person. She didn't respect me then, so why should I tiptoe around her now? I waited until she was at work, then went to work myself. I knew what she valued most. Her collection of luxury handbags, shoes, dresses, all the stuff I'd bought her over the years. Even that ridiculous coffee maker she'd insisted on. I piled it all into her car and started selling. I listed everything online. Some sold within hours. The rest I kept in my trunk. When she got home and saw what I'd done, she exploded, screaming, crying, threatening to call the cops. I told her to go for it. I had proof every penny spent on those things was mine. That shut her up quick. Selling her prized possessions flipped a switch. She stopped begging and started scrambling. A few days later, she came to me, humbled, asking for help. She wanted to move out, said the tension was unbearable, but she had no savings, a lousy paycheck, and I cut off her cards. I told her to ask Dylan, maybe crash with him. Her expression told me all I needed to know. He ditched her the second the money dried up. She moped around for a bit, still trying to wear me down, but I gave her nothing. Eventually, she packed up and left for her sister's place. I was relieved beyond words. I hired a lawyer right after that. He was sharp, guiding me through the divorce and helping me shield my business, the one I'd built before I even met her. She tried to claw at it anyway, just as he'd warned, and pushed for alimony too. The financial infidelity, those card statements, worked in my favor. She got a small payout, enough to scrape by, but nowhere near the cushy life she'd taken for granted. The house stayed mine. She couldn't have afforded it anyway. When I served her the papers at her sister's, she didn't fight. She just signed, defeated, looking like a shadow of the woman I'd known. No manicures, no salon hair, wearing borrowed clothes. It hit me then. She was finally facing a life without my support. After the divorce finalized, I took a breath, really breathed, for the first time in months. I traveled solo to places I'd always wanted to see, spots Lisa had vetoed because they weren't fun enough for her. I reconnected with old friends, picked up hobbies I'd let slide. The pain's still there, a dull ache that's fading with time, but Lisa, she's a distant memory, left behind as I rebuild something better. Looking back, I held on too long. I clung to the idea of us, even after the truth slapped me in the face. What finally made me let go was realizing she didn't mourn me. She mourned the lifestyle I provided. Dylan bolted when the cash ran out, and she crumbled when I stopped playing her game. It was never about love, just what I could give her. Letting go felt like shedding a weight I didn't know I was carrying.